What happens if I take away your degree, your job title, years of experience, and now even your AI tools? What is left? It is not a theoretical question anymore. For years, we have built our careers around what we knew. Today, knowledge is becoming a commodity. AI can write reports for you. It can build fancy presentation. It can summarize meetings. It can do research. It can generate code. And every few months, the things that once made us valuable become easier to automate. The question is, what remains valuable when everyone has access to the same tools? In my experience, the gap has never been technical ability alone. The people who constantly advance are rarely the smartest person in the room. They are the people who can explain complexity very simply, build trust before they need it, navigate difficult conversation, read what is not being said, and influence without authority. On one side are professionals who keep waiting for recognition. On the other side, there are professionals who create opportunities because people want to work with them. Same tools, same technology, but very, very different outcomes. The irony is that most of the skills are not taught in school, certification, or corporate training programs. Yet, they are often the difference between being included in the important conversation and being left out of them. Over the last 2 decades, across different industries, countries, and leadership roles, these skills have had a bigger impact on my own career. So in this video, I want to share 5 lessons that change how I communicate, build relationships, lead teams, and influence decisions without authority. So let's start with communication.
Did you ever feel like there's a conversation you're just not ready to have? That silence is costing you more than you know. Maybe it's with your boss, maybe it's with your partner, or maybe it's yourself. And in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how to transform the discomfort you feel into one of the greatest tools for building unshakable trust.
Even though the economy is now growing again, almost 6% last quarter, people have not started hiring again. And we've got to do everything we can to put people back to work because we need a sustainable recovery over the long term. I've got to be honest with you, there's no magic wand that makes the economic problems that were years in the making disappear overnight.
Notice that pause? Even great leaders lean into silence and discomfort before speaking. And that's what I call presence, and it changes everything. Now let us understand the high cost of avoidance. We all have been taught that it's easier to just let things go. If we tell ourselves it's not a big deal, it's just me, right, as a person. But every time you avoid this difficult conversation, you're just not letting something go. You're allowing a sort of wall to be built.
I wrote a book, I published a theory, but something was not okay. And what it was is that if I roughly took the people I interviewed and divided them into people who really have a sense of worthiness, that's what this comes down to, a sense of worthiness. They have a strong sense of love and belonging, and folks who struggle for it, and folks who are always wondering if they're good enough. There was only one variable that separated the people who have a strong sense of love and belonging and the people who really struggle for it, and that was the people who have a strong sense of love and belonging.
As Brené Brown reminds us, leaning into discomfort is the very definition of courage. Avoidance might feel safe, but it silently erodes the trust, and the cost of that wall is staggering. You know, a Harvard study found that 70% of the employees avoid difficult conversations. And the result isn't just not the awkward silence, it's lower engagement, more employee turnover, and sort of broken trust. To me, avoidance is like a silent leak. It doesn't just flood the house overnight, it rots the foundation until everything starts to crumble. Now, one of the reflective questions I want you to think of one conversation you avoided in the past month. What has already costed you? A good night's sleep, a missed opportunity, or a damaged relationship? Now let me share something which happened to me, okay? Earlier in my career, I had to confront a team member who was brilliant but was constantly dismissive of others' ideas. I dreaded it. I lost sleep over it. I almost convinced myself to let it slide, not to get into any kind of argument or conversation with him. Every time I thought about having that conversation, a knot would get formed in my stomach. I just did not have the courage even. But I knew the team was suffering and I had to step in. I finally sat with him. It was messy, trust me. It was uncomfortable, but it was honest. I shared my perspective and listened to his. And you know what? We didn't solve everything that day, but we opened the door. The tension that had been building for months was finally released. Yeah, we didn't get to, desired outcome, but that conversation didn't just improve our project, it redefined our relationship. And that's when I learned courage doesn't kill trust, it creates it. And discomfort is not the enemy, it is the entry point to trust. Now, let us look at a solution which all of us can apply, what I call as the courageous conversation model. And it is a very simple 3 steps. The truth is, difficult conversation are a skill. And like any skill, we got to learn it. And it's a 3-step model that has helped me, and I'm pretty sure it's going to help you as well. Step number 1, the head and the heart check. The clarity before the conversation. Before you say a single word, check your mindset. Ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to be effective? And if you want to win an argument, you will likely lose the relationship. And if you want to understand and find a solution, you will open the door to enormous connection. Number 2, lead with curiosity. Questions often opens the doors and assumptions will completely close them. So instead of accusing, start by asking. You can disarm almost any situation with one simple phrase. Help me understand your perspective. Or I have noticed this happen and I'm curious about what's going on. Now you are not making a judgment. You're sort of inviting a dialogue for a conversation. Step number 3, listen beneath the words. Don't just hear the words. Hear what is hiding within it. People often react to what's said on the surface, not to the deeper underlying motivation. And this is where true empathy lives. People don't always say what they mean. For example, a frustrated coworker would say, "This is a stupid idea," might really be saying, "I am overwhelmed. I don't see how this new project fits into my workload." So next time, don't just hear the words. Listen to the fear, the frustration or need underneath them. Just watch this.
When we feel safe inside the organization, we will naturally combine our talents and our strengths and work tirelessly to face the dangers outside and seize the opportunities. The closest analogy I can give to what a great leader is like being a parent. If you think about what being a great parent is, what do you want? What makes a great parent? We want to give our child opportunities, education, discipline them when necessary, all so that they can grow up and achieve more than we could for ourselves.
Simon Sinek nails it. People thrive when they feel safe, and safety starts with leaders who listen, not just to the words, but to what's underneath it. Now, let's take a live example and see how we can apply this, right? Imagine you have a teenager who comes home and says, "I hate my teacher." Now, you could have an avoidant approach, what I call. You just respond with a quick fix, just talk to them tomorrow, and this often shuts the conversation down. Now, look at the scenario B, which is I call as the courageous approach. You start with the curiosity. Okay, tell me more about it. What happened that made you feel that way? Then you listen beneath the words. They might be struggling with a subject and feel embarrassed to ask even for help. Now you're gone from a simple complaint to a real problem which you can actually solve together. Now we all work, right? So let's take an example of the professional world also. Let's watch how can you handle tough audience questions gracefully.
No! Yes. So when you are,
okay, y'all.
not just rock star, role model, world's most admired woman. When you are that, when you carry all of those titles, does that affect how you then make decisions?
She didn't rush to defend or dismiss. She pauses, acknowledges, and then responds with empathy. That's the model in action. Now let's take an example from the workplace as well. Now imagine you're talking to a colleague who is often constantly late to meetings, okay? One of the avoidant approaches would be you send a passive email, please be on time for my meetings. The problem doesn't get solved and the relationship is now completely strained. Now look at the other example where you take a courageous approach. You ask to talk to them one-on-one and you say, I have been noticing that you have been a little late to our last few meetings. I'm not here to lecture you, but I'm curious about what's been going on. I want to make sure you have the support you need. What can I do for you? Now, by doing this, you have led with curiosity and a desire to understand their reality. You have given a chance to solve the root problem. When it's an issue, it could be a family issue, could be a personal, or could be a professional bottleneck. Now, a challenge for you guys. Just pause this video for 10 seconds and think of one person you have been avoiding. Got it? Okay, now imagine applying the step 1, 2, and 3, the heart and check, right? Do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? That's a question you need to ask yourself again and again, right? Now remember, avoidance is just going to build wall, but courage builds the bridges. Discomfort is not the red light to stop. It's the green light to grow.
The police are still killing our people, as they've done over the years. Vigilante groups are openly arming themselves for the specific purpose of attacking progressive groups and progressive leaders. The right wing is also arming itself openly, and they say they are doing so for the purpose of destroying the ANC. They are calling for some of us to be hanged. Why would you think that we should now relax our strategies? What has happened?
If Mandela could turn enemies into partners through difficult conversation, imagine what's possible in your workplace, your family, and your life. If you're ready to master this, check out my book, The Unspoken Truth, where I've given practical toolkits for every conversation, and the link is below. Because the leaders who change the world aren't the ones who stay silent. They are the ones who speak when it matters the most. So a specific action for you, which is I call as homework as well. Choose one uncomfortable conversation. Use this courageous conversation model and notice what changes, and let me know in the comments below. What if I told you the way you have been taught to network is a lie, that the system is fundamentally broken? For decades, we have been told that networking is the secret to success in professional world. We have turned a powerful human practice into a transactional hollow exercise. There is no depth, no continuity, just a fleeting interaction. I'm going to show you why networking is broken, and more importantly, how can you fix it within your own context. Did you know that over 70% of the jobs are filled through networking? Yet, more than half of the professionals say they hate networking. Now, let me ask you, when was the last time in a networking event or a LinkedIn connection actually changed your life? What if I told you the way you have been taught to network is a lie, that the system is fundamentally broken? Think about it. You go to an event, you collect a bunch of business cards or digital scans, you make some small talk, and then nothing. That's not networking. This is a performance. For decades, we have been told that networking is the secret to success in professional world. And it's true. The data is crystal clear. Meaningful connections can open doors to new opportunities, mentors, and even your dream job. The problem isn't the concept, it's the execution. We have turned a powerful human practice into a transactional hollow exercise. As a result, our networks are crumbling. Do you feel this? Don't you? You see it an endless cycle of networking events that go nowhere. The inbox is filled with follow-up emails that are never returned, and the constant feeling that you are just one of the 100 people trying to get noticed. The rules of networking are obsolete, and it's time that we create new, the ones which actually work for us. Today, I'm going to show you why networking is broken, and more importantly, how can you fix it within your own context. So, what's exactly going wrong? It's a combination of three things. Number one, we have become obsessed with superficial connections, number of connections. We have been told to network up, to meet as many people as possible, to collect names like trophies, connection requests like trophies. This approach leads to what I call as mild, wide, inch deep network. You have a huge list of connects, but when you need help, you don't know any one of them well enough to ask for it. Number two is the utter failure of follow-up. We get back from an event, maybe send a quick email, and then ghost each other. The relationship dies, and before it even begins, it is equivalent of one night stand, but for your career. There is no depth, no continuity, just a fleeting interaction. And third, it is the overwhelming nature of it all. The pressure to be on, to make an impression, to attend countless events. It's exhausting, and it's a huge reason why so many of us dread the word networking now. Nowhere in this more apparent than on LinkedIn. Don't get me wrong, LinkedIn started with a very powerful vision, but today it's a broken system. It's become a digital business graveyard full of things which we don't want to see. It's a place where we collect connections we barely know, a platform of meaningless endorsements and robotic outreach messages. People connect with you and then they disappear. It's all about numbers, the connection count, the likes, the views, not the person on the other end. It is a perfect example of networking gone wrong, where emphasis on collecting but not connecting. You're not building a network, you're just adding a list of names to a directory. Think about your network density. So, what if that's broken? What does effective networking really look like? Now let's start by shattering some of the biggest misconceptions all of us have. Networking is just about getting something from someone. It's not a one-way street, and it's not something you do only when you need a job. That's like only calling your friends when you need to borrow money. The moment you make networking purely transaction, you've already lost the game. And I'm going to tell you a quick story. Years ago, I was at a SAP conference and I saw a very young guy with a stack of business cards, aggressively working the room. He walked up to me and handed me his card, and without even introducing himself properly, he said, "I'm looking for a job. Can I send you my resume?" I took the card, but the interaction felt so forced that I immediately knew I couldn't help him. He was operating from what I call as a place of scarcity. A reverse contrasting experience which I was actually introduced by a mutual friend in a networking event. We grabbed coffee, and the first thing he asked me was, "I know, Pankaj, you're working on a new product. I just read this great article about it. Would you like me to send it to you?" Now, we didn't just talk about jobs or opportunity. We shared about a shared passion. They gave me something with tremendous amount of value, with no expectations in return. That person and I still have a fantastic relationship today, and we have helped each other many a times over the years. That is what genuine networking looks like in this digital world. Effective networking, it's about building genuine relationship. It's about curiosity, not conversion. It's about being authentic and showing the real interest in other people's story. This isn't just a soft skill. It's a core human practice that requires empathy and willingness to be vulnerable. It's about seeing the other person, not the business card or the title. So the question is, how do we fix this broken system? We need to shift our mindset and follow these three core strategies. Number one, adopt the give first mindset. When you meet someone very new, don't ask what they can do for you. Instead, ask yourself, what can I do for them? Can you introduce them to someone they should know? Can you share an article or a resource that might help them? The goal is to provide value with no expectation of a return. This isn't a tactic. It's a fundamental principle of what I call as building the trust and the bridge. Second, embrace the 1 in 10 rule. Instead of trying to connect with 10 new people in a single day, focus Focus on having one true meaningful conversation. Prioritize depth over breadth. This means going to fewer events, but investing more in the relationship you do start. You will leave feeling energized, not exhausted, and with a real human connection, not just yet LinkedIn request or a business card. Third, this is the most important one, and is to connect. Don't collect. This is the antithesis of everything that has made LinkedIn and traditional networks so broken. Stop building your list of connections. Start building a community of people you genuinely know and trust. This is the difference between a digital Rolodex and a support system. Send a personalized note, ask a specific question, and be willing to be a resource for others. It's about being intentional. It's about being human in a world that has made all of us transactional. When you follow these principles, your network stops from being a list of names and peoples and becomes a powerful force of support and collaboration. And it is very important we follow these. So let's recap. The old way of networking is broken because it is superficial, transactional, and overwhelming. We are collecting bunch of contacts instead of cultivating relationships, and it's leaving us feeling isolated and burnt out. But the fix is very simple. Shift your mindset, embrace the give first principle, commit to 1 to 10 rule, and most importantly, remember, connect, don't collect. Your network is your safety net, your sounding board, and your key to growth. You are not just by fixing relationship and networking, you are building a more supportive, more authentic, and more human life for yourself. You're building a community who's going to stand up and have the same passion. I want to hear from you. Have you had a recent networking experience that went wrong or right? Share your story in the comments below. And I want you to be ready to start building more meaningful relationships. And one thing which I'll tell you my own experience, in my B school, my professor asked me to draw the LinkedIn connection map and find the network density. What I found was having so many network connections actually lowered my network density and propensity. So it is important for you to go back and look at your network density and propensity. So keep following those 3 principles and keep making networking a core fundamental tool in your professional journey. We all have been told in our career that data is the king, that facts don't lie. All you need is a powerful presentation, a clear ROI, and an undeniable set of bullet points. We have been taught to deliver information and not to convey a message. Stop boring your audience to death with data. Facts don't change people. Stories do. And in the next 15 minutes, you will discover why your data-driven presentations are falling flat. We will expose together the secret behind every great leader and a communicator, because facts inform but stories sell. And this is going to be your guide to crafting compelling narratives that resonate with people and inspire action. We all have been told in our career that data is the king, that facts don't lie, that to win a client, a promotion, a job, or a team over, all you need is a powerful presentation, a clear ROI, and an undeniable set of bullet points. But here is the spoken fact. Facts inform, but the unspoken part, but stories sell. And the moment you learn the master of storytelling, you will stop convincing people and start inspiring them. Now, think about the last time you were in a boring meeting and the speaker was smart, prepared, and had dozens of amazing slides full of statistics, numbers, and amazing key finding. You all nodded along. You maybe even took notes. But after an hour later, could you remember even a single data point? Could you recall what the presentation was truly about? The problem isn't the data itself. The problem is how we are using it. We have been taught to deliver information and not to convey a message. We are so focused on being the right that we forget to be memorable. Facts are like individual stars in the galaxy. They are beautiful on their own, but they are impossible to navigate without a constellation, which is a story, to connect all of them bit by bit, dot by dot. So it's important. There's so many information available, But in the next 15 minutes, I will decipher using the framework, inspired framework coming out of my book, on how you can create compelling stories and take the data to the next level. This isn't just about giving a bad presentation. This is about being really real, tangible, and having a great consequences. But when we fail to tell a compelling story, we are not losing just a deal. The loss is more beyond the deal, right? You are going to lose the emotional connection that pursues a client to trust you over competitors. You are going to lose the shared vision that motivates your team to go that extra mile because they don't see themselves in the mission. And you lose the opportunity to be remembered. You became just another voice, just another deck in the daily torrents of information overdose which all of us find us to be in. And the cost is very, very simple. You become forgettable. You may have great ideas, you may have the data to back them up, but no one is truly listening because you are speaking to their brains, you're not speaking to their hearts. And that's the reality most of the speakers find themselves in. When you fail to tell a story, you are losing that opportunity to create an everlasting impact. And look at this.
I spoke about what it takes to lead the good company, one that drives change. And I talked about the dual meaning of the word good. The financial good defined by economic success and the moral good. So I wanted to be the good company, financially successful and morally good. In that room in Miami, I told the world that I wanted PepsiCo's contribution to society to be rooted in its core business model. I wanted to transform our entire business and actually make money a whole different way.
Did you notice how Indra Nooyi didn't just say, we need to grow revenues? She gave her team a story, the purpose beyond the profit that people could believe in. And that's what is going to stick in. Our brains are wired for stories. You will remember childhood stories. When we hear a compelling narrative, our brain releases oxytocin, that trust hormone. We don't just process information, we feel it. We create a shared experience with the storyteller. And that is why, remember, the moral of the fable, the plot of the movie, and the narrative of a successful brand. Now, how can we not talk about Simon Sinek?
And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered manned flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered manned flight, and the Wright brothers beat them to it? There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery, and this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it.
Notice how he doesn't lead with features or statistics. He starts with a story, a purpose, and it's being watched millions of times. And that's the power of story. Stories provide context and meaning. They take a cold hard fact, just like, oh, our sales grew up by 15%. And instead of saying that, how about this? Last year, we had a customer who was on the verge of shutting down their small business. We worked tirelessly with them, and because of the solution, we built their business. It thrived, leading to achieving a 15% sales increase. And now, this is just not a number. It's a story of trust, resilience, partnership, and a larger impact, which could have just been diluted by just sharing 15% in sales growth. This is all good. But how do I apply this? Now, the question isn't whether to use facts or stories, but how do we weave them together? And this is where my inspired story framework comes into play. A proven method I have used to help leaders and myself and teams to transform their communication. Intent. What is that one thing you want your audience to feel or do? Start with the why. N, narrative arc. Every good story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Introduce your character, a problem, a struggle, a resolution. S, specific detail. Just don't say it was a big problem. Describe the late nights, the customer frustration, and the specific challenges you face. Details makes the story real and sticky. For P, pain point. A great story hooks into the core problem your audience understand. Show them that you get their struggle and I for impact. End with the result. What was the transformation? How did you solve the problem? This is where your data can live as proof of your story's success. With R, it's relatable character. The story or the hero of your story could be a customer, could be a colleague, could be a friend, and even you. They need to be someone who your audience can see themselves in. E for emotional core. What is the central feeling? Is it hope? Is it triumph? Or is it just a relief? Tap into the emotion that will make your story unforgettable. For D, it's decisive call to action. What should your audience do next? What is the final step? Now, take a look at this.
Let me talk about a category of things. The most advanced phones are called smartphones, so they say. And they typically combine a phone plus some email capability, plus they say it's the internet, sort of the baby internet, into one device, and they all have these plastic little keyboards on them. And the problem is that they're not so smart and they're not so easy to use. So if you kind of make a business school 101 graph of the smart axis and the easy to use axis, phones, regular cell phones are kind of right there. They're not so smart and they're not so easy to use.
Jobs could have led with specs. Instead, he told a story about merging the iPod, the phone, and the internet communicator into one. That story still continues to change industry, a $1 trillion empire. Now, let us see how leaders apply this in sales, turning pitches into client success stories, double closing rates. In leadership, reframing your quarterly updates into human-centric stories, inspire teams. And in transformation projects, stories create alignment across hundreds of stakeholders. Look at this.
The pace of AI innovation this past year has been truly remarkable. But looking back, what stands out most is the incredible speed at which this technology has diffused. At Microsoft, it's never been about tech for tech's sake, but it's about translating innovation into real impact. One person, one organization, one community at a time. And throughout 2024, I've had the privilege of witnessing countless examples of this around the world.
It is not an earning update. That's the cultural storytelling, and it's why employee believed in the transformation. Facts are the language of the logic, but the stories are the language of influence. I have used this framework to help leaders transform from presenter into influential communicator, and I have no doubt you could do the same. And if you're ready to start telling your story that is captive and inspiring, I encourage you to dive deeper into this framework and more into my book, The Unspoken Truth, because there's a lot of stories to be told. Stop just sharing information. Start sharing a story. And thank you for watching. Give me next 10 to 11 minutes and I will show you how to read the room, the conversation, and the person in front of you with 199% more clarity, transforming every interaction you're going to have. We have been taught to communicate with words, right from our kindergartens to college degree to graduation. But what if I told you that 80% of what's truly said has nothing to do with them? The worst mistake we make is believing that what we hear is a full story and a narrative. We are taught to answer the question. The moment somebody finishes the question, our mind is trained to go and answer. But we never stop to understand the intent behind it. This gap of not understanding is costing you more than just an awkward conversation. It's costing you probably your promotion, the trust, and your influence. My name is Pankaj Prasoon, and for over 2 decades, I have worked as a product leader and a transformation strategist, learning to navigate the silent language that governs every human interaction which we have. I have seen this unspoken truth that makes and breaks careers, deals, and relationships. So let me show you. Watch how Steve Jobs just doesn't say something very powerful. He's reading the room first.
Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
Did you notice the pause before the reveal wasn't just a filler? It was Jobs sensing the audience energy and then delivering an impact. That's the power of reading the room. Think about a time you gave a great presentation, but the audience looked completely distracted. Or a time you received feedback that completely felt useless. You were focused on what the words, the data, the facts, while everyone else in the room was reacting to the why. The unspoken why behind a colleague's blank expression, or a reason a customer said, "I will think about it," instead of yes. That's the real problem we are talking about. But no one is communicating about it. And here is a masterclass in listening. Watch how Oprah just doesn't rush to respond. She reads the weight of the moment first.
And then there's the issue of race. Megan, who is biracial, spoke about the time when she was pregnant with baby Archie.
Concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What? Despite all the tension, Megan said the Queen has always been wonderful to her.
That pause wasn't silence, it was empathy. Oprah leaned in, mirrored the energy, and made space for honesty. That's communication beyond words. This isn't just about speaking tips, it's about a framework to listen very differently. From my book, The Unspoken Truth, here are 5 elements that are going to help you become master of what I call perspective-driven communication. Number 1, the context. Where is this conversation happening? The context can completely change the meaning and realign the words. For example, a simple question like, "Is this ready?" means something entirely different when a CEO in the hallway is asking versus your manager is asking in a project review meeting. The context often will tell you the urgency and the priority. Number 2, the pause. Before you respond, pause for 5 seconds. This is not awkward. It is very intentional. It gives you the time to ask yourself, why is this person asking me this now? This single habit will change everything. It has worked for me and for many others, and I don't see any reason why it would not. And watch this.
What's the most important thing that you personally learned at Apple that you're doing at next?
Good question. I'm not sure I learned this when I was at Apple, but I learned it based on the data when I was at Apple. My first reaction isn't to go fix it. What do I need to do to help versus how do I fix the problem? That's painful sometimes, and I still have that first instinct to go fix the problem, but that's taking a longer term view on people is probably the biggest thing that's changed. And then I don't know, that's, maybe the part that's biological.
18 seconds of silence. Most people will panic, but Steve Jobs uses it as a strategy. The silence spoke louder than the word. The next, the intent. What is the speaker's hidden motivation? They might be asking you about a budget, but their intent is to see if you have an ego. Look for the emotions which are behind the words to truly find the true intent. And the impact. How is what you're saying landing on other person? We often focus on what we meant to say, but the impact is what matters. If you say, "That's an interesting idea," and the person's shoulder slumps, you know the impact was completely negative. Regardless of your intent, your job is to read their body language. Your job is to see their facial expression, to see if your message is truly landing with them or not. And this is a super critical attribute of speaking. The weight, the why, and the what next technique, the core framework for moving forward, which I speak about in my book. First, wait for 5 seconds to truly find the intent. Then ask, why are they saying what they're saying? And finally ask, what next, to offer a solution that completely aligns to their true need. Now, here is an FBI negotiator, Chris Walsh, showing exactly how to draw true intent. just by mirroring.
We're supposed to put together notebooks. Actually, we're supposed to put together 3-ring binders, but in my head, those terms are synonymous. And he's putting the stuff together, and I ask him if he's got the notebooks ready. And he knows we're supposed to be putting 3-ring binders, and I'm saying notebooks. He doesn't know what's in my head, actually. You know, are you thinking something like this when I say notebooks? You know, who knows? But, you know, this could be this is not a 3-ring binder, is it? This is not a 3-ring binder. I don't know. I don't know what's the matter with him. I don't know why he can't read my mind. But anyway, so I say, are the notebooks ready?
Did you see how repeating the last few words unlocked more truth? That's the weight, the why, and what next in action. Now, let us see this in action. I was actually in a very high-stake meeting with one of my managers, and the leader said to me, Pankaj, I don't think so you're ready for this project. My initial reaction, I wanted to defend myself and list all my qualifications, but instead, I used the pause. I looked at his body language. He wasn't angry. He seemed worried. I realized he wasn't questioning my skills. He was worried about the project's timeline and the pressure from his own manager. His intent was to manage the risk, not to criticize me. And my response, because I paused and I tried to find the body language and the why, I didn't say I am ready. I addressed his hidden concern. I said, I hear your concern about this project. Let's talk about the specific milestones we need to hit to get this done on time. I used his why, the timeline and the risk, to drive what's next, a solution-oriented discussion. The single approach, or I would say this pause and the what and the why next, turned a potential conflict into a very productive conversation and strengthened our trust because I focused on the unspoken. Now here is what you need to do. Watch Simon Sinek do something very, very similar. The audience will completely shift and he adapts instantly. And this is a masterclass.
Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right?
That's the skill. Reading energy in real time and pivoting your delivery without losing focus on your message. Now, in the last 11 or 10 minutes, you now have a toolkit to go from a surface level communicator to a master of unspoken. Would it come today? No, you need to practice this. But what you will be able to walk with this is, number one, walk into any room with confidence and instantly sense the real dynamics at play. Number two, turn conflict into collaboration by covering or uncovering the intent behind the words. And number three, you're going to build that trust that feels instant and genuine because you are connecting on a level 95% of the people miss. Communication is no longer about what you say. It's about what you see, what you sense, and what shifts in the real time. And if you really want to go deeper, the full set of frameworks, the stories, and the exercises are part of my book, The Unspoken Truth. The link is below for you. When you master the unspoken, your words will stop sounding like noise. They will land with clarity. And my friend, this is not luck. That's not charisma. This is the power of reading the room. And now it's yours.